Hey everybody, it's Chainwax Podcast here. This is John from aMTBer Products. Okay, I mentioned earlier we've got batches of Uberclear. It's been changed a little bit. I think it's going to be a lot more user friendly. And right off the bat, the mileage that you should get per application is going to be way up there. I think it's going to be higher than the 5311, but unlike 5311, we've got 6-7 years of testing and usage with data from various people in different conditions. We know the mileage. We know the chain lifespan is in the thousands and thousands of miles. Probably somewhere close to 10,000 on a road bike, and we're getting close to 5,000 on mountain bikes. I'm sorry, even more than that. We're getting 6,000 on mountain bikes, on my personal bikes. And then I stopped there at about 17-18% chain wear and changed the chain after 3 years. So the Uberclear is going to have similar numbers with slightly higher torque specs. Designed as a top-off for e-bikes, it also is a good option for your road bike and mountain bike, especially as a mountain bike winter formula. And you can see here, I'm still getting over this flu. This cough has been lingering now. It's going on 3 weeks. So originally designed as a Darkmatter chain treatment with a Uberclear top-off, now we got the big bottles of the Darkmatter, and we'll be doing a kit like this in the future. So this will work for a lot of people to have a little kit here for about $23 or something like that. But for now, you have to buy each bottle in the 4-ounce size. One thing I want to mention is there's so many other products out there trying to mimic these products at the moment, and they're all falling short in one way or another. Most of them require you to strip the chain and then also strip the chain during the maintenance process, meaning they're still telling you in their directions to start with a clean chain and then add the lube. And then after the lube is used up, I'm thinking specifically of this Formula 100 company that sort of came out of nowhere last year. And now they have a product that's similar, but it requires all this chain maintenance that we have set out to avoid from the very beginning. Okay, so I've put this little graph together. I'm going to see if you guys can follow along of why our chain lube works better than everything else. All right, so here on a sketch pad, I've made a little graph here. And the vertical column is the percentage of cleanliness. So basically on this vertical column, you have 0% down here. So 0% clean and 100% clean at the top. And then on the lower line, the horizontal line here, this would represent the number of miles. So from 0 miles to, say, whatever the length of your ride is, okay? So you have the percentage of clean starting at 100, and then over time, the line is going to go down like this, okay? So, like, here's a typical chain where they require you to strip the chain and put the lube on, and at this point, you have 100% clean chains. This vertical line represents the cleanliness. So 100%. And as you ride over X amount of miles, it gets down to where it's basically 0% clean. It's time to, according to their instructions, strip the chain, start over, get back to 100% chain, and over the course of your riding, it will go down considerably. Now, if it's a straight line, a linear line, or if it's some kind of a bell curve, I don't know. But the point is that our concept is a little different. So by ours, you never have to strip the chain. So our chains stay so clean, I want to say it's above 90%. The little bit of dust that does get on there gets encapsulated. When you go through stream crossings and things that pass through the chain, anything that gets left in the chain will get encapsulated and shed away. But since nothing sticks to it, it's very little. So this purple line here represents ours, starting out at something like 85-95% clean. And over the course of the same miles, it stays cleaner longer. This difference between here and here is where you get this extended chain life. So you are riding a chain that is 80-90% clean longer than 100%, which quickly gets down into less than 50% here and down to 0%, where you will not ride the chain again. You have to maintain it at this point. So how many miles this is could be 25 on a mountain bike, 50 on an e-bike, 100 on a road bike, something like that. Maybe 200 on a road bike using Uberclear and 5311. Very possible that could be your situation. But on our chain, it doesn't ever get dirty enough to cause all this excessive chain wear that occurs in this triangle area here. So this is the formula of way to visually represent what's going on. Now this number could be 90%, could be, and then where, ours could get down to 80%. I think that's being very, very generous as far as, I think our stuff starts out at about 95% clean and may fall down to 90% on a very dirty ride. But, until you use it, you won't know for yourself. Basically, most people who use it are shocked at how clean the chain is after, say, a 50-mile ride. Whether this lower horizontal graph line represents 50 miles or 100 miles, whatever it is your ride, that's the distance. You put the number here of what you do, okay? So whatever you're using now, once it gets to 0% clean, where you cannot reasonably ride another ride without taking care of your chain, that's where this has to be maintained and back to 100%. Where ours stays so clean all the time, you may be riding a 90% clean chain, but you're riding it for the whole time instead of just a short period as it decreases here. So that's the difference. It never goes down to 0%. It stays somewhere around the 80% mark. I hope that was clear. This is the difference between ours and everything else out there. This is by design, that since you never have to maintain it, and it stays so clean, you get longer chain life and you have racing performance the whole time. When you spend all this time cleaning your chain to get to 100%, and as it gets dirty, your racing performance is gone now. So if you're doing a big gravel ride like the Unbound or something, there's a point where you don't have a racing quality lube chain anymore, and you're just grinding away at your metal. That never happens with ours. I recently saw this company called Formula 100. Well, I guess it took them 99 times to get it right. Bottom line is they have products that are very similar to what I describe mine as. But on this chain maintenance page here, how often do I need to relube my chain? So they're saying they get 200 miles on a very clean situation, but as it gets dirty, the scenarios where wet and mud conditions, it'll completely change those numbers. So dry conditions, lube will need to be applied somewhat more frequently. So it's saying even in dry conditions, it takes more applications. Our hour conditions, and now here is one thing. Our hour conditions and power drive lubes have different formulation and are more viscous, thick, and provide longer interval between applications, but more prone to dirt adhesion. So they're saying here that their basically everyday chain lube doesn't even repel the dust. Okay, ours does. Now it says, for best results, we recommend using chain drivetrain cleaner to fully clean your chain before relubricating. So this Formula 100, that's supposed to be so great, okay, and they're really trying to mimic mine in many ways, and you can see that when you go to their site. It's just they're using my verbiage word for word. They say you have to strip your chain. Okay, now let's talk about the next thing they say here. So their power drive chain lube is their e-bike formula. They're saying they can use it as a race formula just like mine. No, most definitely. In fact, we recommend it for race day efforts for ultimate friction reduction is prioritized. We're going to be cranking out watts. We highly recommend fully wiping away any excess lube to reduce any dirt adhesion. So their product does not repel the dirt at all. Now it says here, do I need a specific lube for my e-bike? That's what they're talking about there. Hold on a second. Well, it looks like I didn't screenshot the part where it talked about it's not recommended for motorcycles, where ours, we don't recommend our Darkmatter for motorcycles. But the newsflash, guys, I've been working on the motorcycle formula for a while, and I finally came up with a way to turn basically the Darkmatter type formula into a motorcycle formula. And that's going to have to do with bonding. There's certain things that go on chemically with ours, with the bonding. I can't talk a lot about that, but you know, the bond that we have, that where it becomes part of your chain, that's the same exact verbiage those guys were using in the Formula 100. It's like they borrowed straight from my website. That it becomes part of your chain, but the fail is it takes a long time to dry, and it requires stripping with a degreaser each application. So their formula is a failed chemistry formula. Now here's the thing I found on bicycling. I think it's called bicycling.com, and it talks about the cost of use per product. So this is based on if you were using, say, a Dura-Ace system on your road bike, what it's going to cost at the end of the year on a clean road bike situation, how much money you're going to spend on parts maintaining your bike using, here's the super secret, drip wax. Cost to run, $810. So that sounds like a cassette and a chain. That's what that sounds like to me, or maybe more parts. The hot wax melt chain is only $275, but you have to religiously, weekly, remove your chain, clean it, and run the crock pot system, which is just too time consuming. Here's Rock and Roll Gold, $1,477 to run Rock and Roll Gold on your bike, the cost of parts. Okay, so this is at bicycling.com. You can look this up. It's about wax-based lubes. This is the section on the cost of running all these products. It looks like the Rex Diamond Wax cost is $960. So even with a hot melt chain, with some of the best top stuff out there, it's still going to cost you $1,000 a year in parts on a road bike. So pretty much double that on a mountain bike. Silka Synergetic, $925, another $1,000. Squirt, $1,200 just for your regular old squirt on a road bike. Now, you can increase these numbers significantly when you're talking about mountain bike because of the dirt and everything. None of these repel dirt. They all require you to strip it between applications. And I said in the previous podcast, the cost of running hours so far is 0 up to 3 years. So I recommend on a mountain bike changing your chain when you get to about 3 years of use, or around 6,000 miles. You can go further if you want. I have about 6 chains from 3 different trail bikes that all were 3 years old with similar mileage, and the percent of wear was between 18% was the average. So it still had plenty of life left in the chain, but after 3 years, I changed them just because of the age. This article on Bicycling Magazine, it talks about how often you should lube your chain. And, you know, Rock and Roll Gold should last 60 to 150 miles. But more realistically, you're probably adding lube every couple of rides to keep things running smooth. That's what it says there. That's the reality of it. If you ride enough, you know the second day on your chain riding that previous lube, it just doesn't feel that great. Now, why would you want to take your bike out knowing you're just wearing it out? You can get multiple rides on hours, but if you're riding in dirty situations, adding the fresh lube helps flush any little things that have gotten in there out. So just putting a little bit goes a long way. So here's somebody's using the super secret stuff to secret drip, must be worked into the rollers and left set for at least 5. It says there at the bottom there, set for at least 5. I'm sorry, that says 8 hours. It was hidden by the thumbnails below there. So anyway, 8 hours, which is overnight. That's at least ours you can be riding within 20 minutes under normal conditions. And if you put the chain lube on, throw it on a bike rack, just the movement of the air is going to dry it out, even in the coldest weather. You can ride almost immediately with ours. So you see, there's so many things that these companies are still failing at, particularly talking about the ones that are making an obvious effort to mimic my products. This has been going on a long time. This is just the latest one I found. I was actually interested in contacting the California Enduro Series about doing some booths there, but these guys have already beat me to it. So, you know, that seems to be the tactic of this industry, is to flood the market with products to cause so much confusion that the little guys with the actual quality products kind of get buried in all the clutter, in all the noise, so to speak, because these products are not good products. They don't even have good claims. I love how they all use words like science matters. You know, science does matter, but the word science, you know what the word science really means? It means knowledge. So accumulating knowledge is science. It's not, they use that word as a catchphrase to making you think there's a superior product here. It's really not. They got Cam Zink on their team. Hey, that's great. So they're still telling you to use a degreaser, and they sell a dry cleaning brush where we sell a wax applicator. Doesn't need to be, you can use it as a cleaner with the chain prep formula to get anything off that's built up, but it's really to re-liquefy the product and redistribute it. That's what our method is. Nobody has come close still. They're not even close. Here with their e-bike formula, they talk about their extra strong bonding characteristics, where ours is more of a burnishing. There is a chemical bond that's happening by nature because of the carbon that's in it. Carbon bonds to metal, and that's something that's very simple. It's not that difficult, but the burnishing part that we have, where it becomes part of the chain, you see, that's why you don't want to strip your chain. You are treating your chain over time, where they're telling you to strip the chain and start over after every lubrication application. Once you've used that lube, strip it and start over. This gets back into the buildup problem, where if you don't strip it, eventually this chain lube is going to build up like layers of paint, and it's going to lock itself out from getting your new lube into the rollers. This is where your chain life is going to go down dramatically. So they got a $10 50 mil bottle and a $16, $18 120 mil bottle. And if I sound annoyed, it's because I am. Because basically what this is just another company that came out of nowhere, fueled by the oil industry, the automotive. They make bike washes, so they've definitely come from an automotive background. And they're just flooding the market with noise. Their products have not solved any of the problems our product has solved, which is back to the original list here. Number 1, stay clean. 2, no maintenance. 3, no quick link removal. 4, chain life extended, chain life plus. 5, racing performance. 6, safe for the environment. And 7, safe to handle. And number 8 is relatively low cost versus some of these other $100 an ounce racing chain lubes that are out there. So every chain lube I have presented here, every single one, the all mountain style stuff was last week. This Formula 100 got on my radar this week. All of them fail at one or more of these things on my list here. Our Darkmatter is the best chain lube in the world. It is the best for all e-bike applications. It can be topped off with the Uber Clear. And then we also have our original line here. But the 5311, if you had to try one, 5311 is our mountain bike and road bike racing formula. And this stuff lasts longer than anything else out there, requires no maintenance, racing performance, stays so clean you never have to clean it. $16 a bottle still. Okay. If you're going to try one, this is the one I recommend to try out of the gate. It'll suit 99% of everybody, including e-bikes. But I do recommend the Darkmatter. That's an old formula when I was testing it back in 2020. This became our final formula as of January 2021, as I believe, when we perfected it. So yeah, the Darkmatter, which is now what this one is called, in conjunction with 5311 or Darkmatter Uber Clear, or Uber Clear by itself if you have a road bike. That's a good option too. It's a newer formula. We don't have all the data. But everybody that's tried our product has gotten used to how thick it is. They realize it's superior. This is a Loam Wolf video here. They're still promoting the product as of January as one of the top items of 2025. And yeah, so why not try something that has been proven to be the best? We didn't come out of nowhere. This is 40 years in the making. And all the companies that have come up with similar products since the launch, that would be this product here at Sea Otter 2019. Everybody was super excited to see what I had. People were putting it in their fingers, looking me in the eye, saying, "What is this?" And I said, I can't tell you. It's super secret. All my guys were saying it's super secret. And that's another little funny little anecdote there. So from there, the lube and sliding bike power formula was developed. And then the for all drivetrains formula 1.2, which was taking the lube and sliding in two directions at the same time. This turned into the 5311 eventually, with that type of thinking and those type of things going on. And the original bike park formula eventually became, we went down a different path to develop the e-bike formulas. Okay, so the next podcast, we got some things coming up. I'm going to talk about the SAG card and show you guys how all the different things that are on here. This is the back side. And I don't have a shot of the front side here. This would be the shot. This would be the fork side. We have the shock side on the other flip of it. And then another thing is I'm going to have a guest come on who's going to talk about his cross-country racing experiences, and somebody that I've known a long time. So that'll be coming up in real soon. So that's it. Covered a couple things here. Basically, there's a lot in development as well with this motorcycle formula I've been working on. I finally figured out a way to increase the bond without taking away from the longevity. That's sort of one of the big tricks with the product. I can't really talk about it much, but when it comes to bonds, I'll give you guys a little anecdote here. Something that maybe just something to think about that you've never thought of before. Chemical bonding is very intriguing to me. It has been my whole life. I actually grew up more of a mathematician, and chemistry was always sort of a fun side little thing to do. Different experiments as a kid and whatnot. But chemical bonding is something that's super interesting. One of the things that people don't realize is how powerful glue can become. Let's see how I preface this, because I can't directly talk about the chain product on this level, but I can talk about some other chemistry, and maybe this will intrigue you guys a little bit. But one of the things is, let's see, what can I say and what can I not say? Let's talk about super glue for a minute. Did you know that super glue combined with baking soda is one of the strongest bonds you can create as far as a glue is concerned? So, in fact, it's so strong, was it Boeing, I guess, or Lockheed, used it to glue panels on the wings of B-52 bombers. That's how strong of a bond it is. It's actually stronger than any rivets that could hold in certain points, they're able to glue the entire surface, and it's stronger than, say, riveting at the time or whatever. So it's something that maybe you have things in your life that need to be repaired, whether it's some plastic part or whatnot. Try sprinkling some baking soda on it, adding super glue, do layers of that. You're not going to believe how strong it actually will be stronger than the plastic you're repairing. This can be used on wood, it can be used on metal to metal. But for bikes, there's probably a lot of things that can be touched up and repaired with the addition of, because super glue by itself, we all know it doesn't work that great. The little addition of the sodium bicarbonate turns super glue into super duper glue, really. So it's something that is an interesting anecdote about bonding. And along the way of developing the chain lube, I realized there's many, many layers that can be achieved. And what is the appropriate amount for the chain lube to have the particles adhere to the chain without slowing it down? And that's the real trick there. So the trick is to develop a chain lube that gets you through your most grueling rides, but still doesn't need to be cleaned, never needs to be stripped to remove what you've spent all this time bonding. That's counterproductive. All these other companies have not figured this out. And quite frankly, I don't think they're going to be able to figure it out. This is an epiphany that came to me, and so to speak, over time. I had the initial inspiration, and then I worked very, very hard at it to perfect it. So it's something that you really can't just throw a bunch of people in a storefront industrial unit and have them come up with this in any short amount of time. This takes thousands and thousands of hours of testing. So, and running it across different kinds of bikes and different kinds of situations. Here's one of my old Al mountain bikes. This is my old SB6 that I still have, which is a super fun, playful bike. And it's a different kind of riding. This is very short, dirty rides with steep climbs, lots of descending. See, the descending thing people don't take into a factor. When you have a big, gnarly front tire like that, it's throwing a lot of dust on the chain in a low pedaling situation. So when you get to the bottom of the hill, you take those first pedals, you don't want it to be grindy. So when a chain lube manufacturer admits that their product gets dirty in the dust, it's not a good product for a bike like this, a low pedaling situation. We also tested it with the Plant Power Racing team, and you can see there, let's see, there's where I was sponsoring them for a while. We had the logo on the back of my back of their jerseys there. So we did the road bike testing. I used this racing team, fastest kids in town, to test it in those situations. During the time I sponsored them, they got into XC racing. They all bought XC bikes. And they were calling me up to ask them to ride with them, to show them what I knew about riding off-road. These are road bike race kids. And they quickly became, I never did get to ride with them, but, they quickly became very fast and won all the races around town, Big Bear and different gravel events and XC events. But this was all on the bike testing of the product during its development and initial production. And from there, we made slight modifications. And by January 2021, I believe, it might have been January 2020, the final version was what we put out there. I think that's when it was. So chemical bonding is something that was part of the design from the beginning. And I now see that there's some companies that are actually using the same verbiage as I have always said, which does get a little bit annoying. I must admit, it really is annoying that people just basically try to copy your product, make all the same claims you do, but then they disclose you have to strip it, use a degreaser, all these things to maintain your chain. So it's a fail. These are fails. They did not solve the problem where ours solves every problem there was ever in a chain lube. The thing I find fascinating is after 100 years, 120 years of bicycle chains being on bikes, riding in the dirt. All of a sudden, after I did the Sea Otter show and released this product right here, the top off for a wax dip chain, which is now our chain prep formula, multi-purpose formula, basically. There's a flooded market of products trying to mimic these right here. Flooded market. And, I never would have thought that would have been the case. I got so much pushback initially with these products, so much. What do you mean it only goes 100 miles? Well, that's where we're at. And that's what do you ride 100 miles when you ride your bike? No, you don't. I don't know anybody that does on a daily basis. Not around here. I know people around the world that do. But that's not the typical situation. And the Plant Power Racing team was getting 150 to 200 mile training rides in on their road and XC bikes using 5311, which is more than enough. And you can push it further. The Loam Wolf guys were going about 180 miles on the e-bike formula between applications from what they disclosed in their first review. And links to all these reviews will be in the description and in the first comment. But I got so much pushback from this in the beginning. The idea back when I developed this was a chain lube should last 500 miles to 1,000 miles. And that's what the industry was working on. You had companies like SSC, I guess it was called, or SCC or something like that, all pushing these 800-mile chain lubes. It's like, well, 800 miles for me is about, a couple of dozen rides on a mountain bike. And that's a very dirty mountain bike, which you're going to need to clean it. And if you're going to clean it, you're going to need to re-lube. So why would you make an 800-mile chain lube for a bike that goes off-road? And these chain lubes all collected dust. So the industry was still pushing these synthetic, long-lasting lubes at the time I introduced these products. And I got nothing but pushback. And now this is the norm. So many imitators out there from this original line here. And now also trying to mimic the e-bike formula with zero success. Their products do not last long. I got to find the claimed performance improvement by this latest company. It's laughable. So they're just out there to basically make a bunch of noise to cause confusion. And, I think the tactic is actually the more noise you make by funding all these little companies to create products that are still inferior, but there's volumes of them. I think the tactic is that with that much noise, most people will go with the most heavily marketed product that's pushed in the bike shop. So that seems to be the tactic here. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how these little companies can pop up and have these huge budgets of travel and sponsoring shows with virtually no customers. So that's it. The Mountain Bike Podcast, episode 25 or 26 now. I will have some guests coming here soon. The next one or two podcasts from now, I hopefully I'll be able to get that one put together, done, schedules line up, and get it recorded and edited. Hopefully it'll be a very just straightforward discussion talking about various things, and I'll leave that as a little bit of a surprise as to what we'll be talking about, but I think you'll find it very interesting. So subscribe and look for that one coming soon. I'll be mostly talking about racing and different things like that, and somebody I've known for a long, long time. So it'll be an interesting conversation. All right, well, that's the Mountain Bike Podcast. I'm sorry, that's the Chainwax Podcast. And it's episode 25 or 26 now. It's been a long, long winter so far. I can't wait for this weather to get better. Raining for 4 days here in LA. So it's just stuck indoors watching the Olympics and other things. Not much to do other than bottling up chain lube and shipping it out. A lot of SAG cards sold this week too, by the way. So that to me is an indicator spring is around the corner. People are getting their bikes ready. You might want to try the best chain lubes in the world right here. And just go to aMTBer.com You can read up on each one, find out which one's best for you. And of course, we have the Darkmatter. And there's our e-bike formulas there. Okay, so we'll talk soon. Thanks for listening. And I'm going to hopefully just be able to publish this quickly and not have to do a bunch of editing. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.